real hindrance for the 2024 election, because we talk about this as though, this is one person, but this is a massive organization. I mean, he's talking about $108 million that he's putting into Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. And he's putting out all of these supposed activists that he's created are going to be deployed in these areas. And he is billing himself as Donald Trump's right-hand man when it comes to young people. And this, to me, is catastrophic for us. It is catastrophic for us.
Trump-endorsed gubernatorial candidate from Michigan, Tudor Dixon, looks like she's part of the GOP that doesn't want the blatant bigots like Charlie Kirk to be the face of the party. They're all sick of losing elections around their policies of controlled division and defending Donald Trump's legal issues. But Dixon's examples of Kirk's destruction sound very un-Republican.
I was at a Turning Point event, I would say probably 3 or 4 years ago. The girls, it was a summit for teenage and young 20s girls, told them all to wear pink and come in and take pictures in these Barbie boxes. The message over and over again at this conference from person after person who was on the stage was, if you are a young woman, which it was the women's summit, there were a few young guys there, marry young, find a conservative Christian, make sure you marry him young, have kids, homeschool, and do not have a career. That is not my story. That is not the story of young women today who are out there voting. This is, to me, the best way to drive people away from the Republican Party, and people think that's who Donald Trump is.
Dixon failed to unseat Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, partially because of her extreme stances on women's reproductive rights. And now she sounds like what Republicans would call woke. And if she wants people to believe that that's not who Donald Trump is, he should probably stop propping up this guy as a representative of the young Republicans.
Of course, there are qualified black and female pilots. And when I said what I said on Thought Crime, and I will repeat what I said, I never challenged that. But what DEI does is it introduces poisonous, toxic lines of thinking. The point I was making is this, is it's condescending to qualified blacks. It's condescending to qualified females. What it does then is it forces questions that otherwise would not exist. In a pure merit-based system, for example, if United Airlines CEO said, we have the best pilots. If they're black, if they're women, if they're Asian, if they're Indian, we have the best pilots, period. I would never have this thought that I said on our show. I said, because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified.
Charlie Kirk's comments about not trusting black pilots because of DEI has been fully discussed. It even forced him to try to backpedal without disappointing any of his bigoted supporters that actually agree. But based on his clarification here, his issue is with companies deciding to no longer place the same barriers in front of historically disenfranchised Americans for certain jobs. And when you've been conditioned to believe that this country doesn't have and never has had systemic racism baked into nearly every aspect of our lives, you can't see the point of breaking down those barriers. So like alcoholics, you can't fix the problem until you admit that you have one. So people like Kirk are upset that they're being forced into a little bit of rehab here. Tudor Dixon discussed this aspect of Kirk's catastrophic beliefs with Trump 2024 advisor, Pastor Darrell Scott.
There are those whites, such as Charlie Kirk. He's the ringleader, and he's actually trying to resurrect that spirit in the party of the superiority of whites over black. And he insinuates that every black person that you see in a prominent position, that there has to be an air of suspicion about them, like they didn't really earn this position. They were given this because of affirmative action. They were given this because of DEI. And it's absolutely not true.
And so this idea that any company would create a DEI program that could potentially put the lives of people in danger is asinine, but it is a message that is being pushed by these far-right activists time and time again. And you know why? It's because they're making money off of it. It's all about clicks. It's getting people back to my podcast, say the most radical thing.
It's pretty amazing what losing a few elections will do to the belief systems of folks that either went along with the party's racially divided talking points or they actually believed it themselves. It's also telling what some will do and say to put themselves in a position of power, just in case Trump escapes prison.
And Sean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Under President Donald Trump, we brought the lowest unemployment rates to minorities the country's ever seen.
The black unemployment rate hit a record low of 5% last month. That's according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It comes 3 years after the black unemployment rate spiked during the pandemic to nearly 17%.